Hey guys, this is Katrina Pavela, and I'm going to do a dramatic reading of my review, Scandal 612, Mercy. And these are first thoughts after having a little nap after the episode. Stay woke for sure, but sometimes you need a nap to get your shit together. I started jotting down thoughts in my notes app on my second watch of Mercy. And before I knew it, I nearly had 3,000 words. Don't worry, this is twice that now. So I thought, why don't I just post this? But I'm glad I slept on it because I have more empathy, more clarity now than I did yesterday when I was sleep deprived and cranky. So let's get into it. I love the episode. Once again, it was nice and tight. Yeah, a number of scenes made me feel like, oh, hell no. And if you watched it, you know why. Since 611, a number of nuggets from 610's AU extravaganza have been popping up in the episodes, which Tony Goldwyn did tell us to expect. He said when we return to reality, all of the characters' lives would be informed by what happens in 610. He ain't never lie. So I will be pointing out where words and themes from that episode reappear in 612. The morning after. We begin with an opening shot that I have longed to see in real life, especially after being teased with a similar shot in the 610 AU. We get Liv in Fitz's navy shirt again, and a topless Fitz right next to her. The last time we had Olivia in Fitz's navy shirt, IRL, was the cuteness that was 501. In fact, the opening aerial shot reminded me of 501. Then as now, Olivia watches Fitz sleep. But the circumstance is very different. Fitz is a free, divorced man. She lingers briefly upon him as though she missed waking up next to him. I can't help but think of the Ik Me Bas, which stands for I Can Make Anything Be About Scandal, that I posted last year using the 501 scene and lyrics from Beyonce's Forward on her Lemonade album. These lyrics always make me cry. Just go back to your sleep and your favorite spot rests next to me. Forward. What's also different now is that Olivia does not have time to indulge in her feelings for Fitz, as she remembers she needs to stay focused on the mission for taking down Payas. She can't really enjoy Fitz or move forward with herself and him until she does. As she did in 610 and 308, she gets up first to go to work. Also, I would be remiss if I didn't point out the petty of this scene. I posted a while back about how Fitz's shirtlessness in bed often conveys the intimacy he has with the woman next to him. You only ever saw him shirtless with Mellie in that 307 flashback, before Mellie had been raped and she and Fitz were young and amorous. Fitz is allergic to shirts when Liv is next to him. The only exception is in the AU when they weren't communicating and slept back to back. Let's also not forget that the two scenes of Los Angeles in bed saw Angela doing her damnness in Fitz's shirt and then sexy lingerie, but my boo was wearing a t-shirt both times, 604 and 611. Hashtag bye Angela, Widow TV. Luna Vargas is on TV talking about her husband, Francisco's legacy. I transcribed her comments because they frame the actions of many of the characters this episode, particularly those of Rowan. She says, I do believe the country is frustrated and angry at what has happened with this election. At the end of the day, my husband was voted into office by the people. The people wanted his ideas, his values leading this country. And instead, they have someone they did not choose. And that is scary. Fear begets fear. When people feel marginalized and unimportant, they do things to take back their power by any means necessary. I call on the White House to unite this country and ensure that the people are not forgotten. Her comments make me think particularly of Rowan, Olivia, and Mellie's actions in this episode, as well as Liv's actions since 509. People hate to feel impotent, powerless. Rowan, in a position to be helped by Fitz because his daughter Olivia begged for mercy, feels trapped, small, something he cannot allow. No one can cage me. Boy, I am always free. Said from a literal prison in 504. He's the predator who is the most sensitive to a shift in the ecosystem. If he's not in control, he lashes out, fearing extinction. As I type these words, I feel this could easily apply to his own daughter's thought process and actions in 509. She spoke of being Fitz's caged prisoner, his property, accused him of retaliation for not being sufficiently grateful for having freed her father, that she was a big dog and Fitz had made her feel like a chihuahua. I commented then that her father was all over that argument she had with Fitz. This episode shows in many ways how the apple didn't fall far from the tree. Breakfast in the bunker. Olivia is there trying to get her father to realize he's safe. By the way, Liv, I must comment on how old, frail, and vulnerable to death your father appears this morning. Not at all sprightly, spirited, and longing to jet off to Paris or Zanzibar where he can truly be free. Girl. Side note. It's interesting that Paris and Zanzibar are the two locations Rowan speaks of. The obvious fact here is that the island near Zanzibar is the place to which Rowan shipped off Olivia and her baggage, Jake, at the end of Season 3. Paris is where Maya went after she was freed from prison at the end of Season 4. But zooming out, it's interesting that Shonda uses these two places that historically Black people have sought refuge in. So many of our historical faves during American apartheid went to Paris to cultivate their talents. And a return to Africa in Zanzibar, whose Arabic root means black-skinned coast, is symbolic of Black American people trying to find refuge in an imagined homeland, since there is no real refuge for us in America. Anyway, Petty Fitz shows up to the party at the bunker, strutting like a peacock after reuniting, and it feels so gooding all night with Olivia. Pulls a typical white boy move by kissing Olivia good morning in front of her father. She was a little taken aback, but she didn't rebuff him, which is important. I call it a white boy move because even when you're married, kissing in front of your parents when you're Black feels a bit weird, and some see it as disrespectful to them. It's not that big a deal with an ordinary parent, but this is Rowan and Fitz. Fitz likes to get under Rowan's skin about Olivia. Let us not forget when I wanted to smack the shit out of him for telling Rowan that he's screwing his daughter every chance he gets and that he could tell him things about the way she tastes and that she's a talented girl. Oh, that was such some man shit. That happened in episode 310. See, Rowan must always feel important and respected, though he gives this to no one else. And Fitz does not give two shits about how Rowan thinks he should behave, thus letting Rowan know he will never control him. The steely glare from across the table lets you know Rowan is going to retaliate, just like he retaliated for the scene I just mentioned by killing Fitz's son in 318. Which is what we see later when he humiliates. This retaliation is what we see later when he humiliates both Fitz and Olivia. One last thing about that glare. I thought of Rowan echoing Pais's own words back to him, back to Olivia in 601/606, respectively, called Survival of the Fittest and Extinction. Rowan told her, there's that streak of weakness that lets anyone in, and he means her vulnerability to believing people and emotion, essentially. Rowan has long seen love and family as something that leaves you vulnerable, essentially, to extinction. Recall his speech about the burdensomeness of family that played over Olivia's abortion scene in 509. And that venomous stare he gives to Olivia for that kiss she allowed is Rowan being disappointed in her weakness. It made me think of the AU Rowan shaking his head in disappointment and disbelief as Olitz kissed to seal their nuptials. And he then leaves the church. This time, he yells at them to leave him. Sai, can we get his banishment in real life? Lastly, The kiss becomes the streak of weakness that gives Rowan ammunition to retaliate against them but mostly Olivia, for not honoring thy father. Also the title of episode 418. Beer and wine will never go together, period, full stop, point blank, the end, roll credits. There's an insert here of Joe Morton's tweet. The problem with Jake and Olivia is that beer and wine together is like brown shoes with a tuxedo, meaning they don't go. Mismatch like hell. So Liv and Jake are drinking their respective beverages, beer for him, red wine for her, while Liv is convincing him to resign as VP. Let me revel in my rightness briefly. I'm feeling so good. I knew that I would. I'm partying like I knew I should. Anyway, I told y'all last year that Alexander Hamilton, was never vice president, and therefore Jacob Hamilton Ballard's fake middle name was revealed to us in 510. The same reason as his Jake Hamilton Ballard's fake middle name was revealed to us in 510 for the same reason as his rather basic entire birth name, Peter Harris, was, which was revealed in 518 when he got married. Shonda's naming is purposeful. I scoffed that she dared even bestow a nod to the genius of Alexander Hamilton, who has been referenced since 107 by Cyrus, upon the basicness of one Jake Ballard. Fine mind, he is not. He doesn't think, he takes orders. If only he could get killed in a duel by an Aaron Burr type. Hashtag a girl can dream. The beer-wine theme raises its head again, something that's been happening since season 2. The first time Liv decides to sleep with the man who's unknowingly deceiving her, she brings him Gettysburger in 218. He has no wine, and she tells him she's not interested in his beer. He calls her fancy, aka bougie. She relents, tries the beer, and immediately rejects it. And she rejects it again and again from there on. The last time was in 502 when they were in that motel room, and he brings her beer when she distinctly asks for wine. The petty in me loves that in 611, Fitz makes it known when he sees Cyrus's open beer can that he too finds beer beneath his standards. We've seen Fitz drinking Liv's wine in 505, her bourbon in 516, and we have seen her drink his scotch plenty of times. Baylits are bougily compatible and Faux Lake is not. That's the point. This incompatibility presents itself more potently in their latter scene together. Side note, when Liv is drinking red wine, popcorn flashes in my head. In the absence of popcorn made by her mother when she was younger to assuage her sadness, we see the absence of popcorn after 5A. 502 is the last time we see it. And I wonder if its absence is an indication that feelings themselves have vacated Liv, or at least deprioritized in her quest to recapture what power means to her. I don't know. No one likes her to be sad. I don't. But since we cannot say she is happy, it just shows me that we have an emptier woman before us. The quest for the wrong type of power had an easier landing in the absence of genuine feeling missing from her. I know she's working through it all, one piece at a time. Meet your new team. What kind of savage do you take me for? Says Ponytail when Mellie insists that as a puppet president, she must be in charge of something. Oh, Ponytail, I'm going to miss you when you die. Why does Mellie's new assistant look like a younger version of her? Is she going to take over her body? Anyway, if the Illuminati have had Mellie's office bugged since the primaries, then don't they have photos of Marley bumping uglies on Mellie's desk in 602? That took place during the general. I wonder if that will come up as a threat. Ooh, I know, this is wrong of me, but because I don't like for women to be shamed publicly for sex. But I really wouldn't mind it being used to dethrone Mellie in order that Luna Vargas becomes the president. Literally, any woman except Mellie. She's been POTUS for 2.5 seconds and she's already annoying as fuck. Just stop talking. Bluffing with Payas. The only thing I found interesting about this scene is that little 5'4" Olivia will go eye to chest with any man if he threatens her goals, no matter how tall or intimidating he seems. She bluffs real good. I'm keeping Liv's threat to Payas. Nobody gets what they want in mind. I hope that manifests in some way because I don't want Olivia to have that oval. It will be to her detriment unless Vargas becomes president. The oval has to have a different vibe and principles that are different from those of the group who have come to be nearly destroyed by a system that does not love them back. Their original sin, defiance, has haunted the guilty and the innocent for 8 years. What the fuck kind of White House are they supposed to have, even if they manage to get rid of Payas and Ponytail when Mellie is an illegitimate president? How would anything be different than before? Charlotte Quinn / Huckleberry Quinn. Well, Charlotte Quinn or Huckleberry Quinn. Real quick on this. I'm still sorting through this little triangle. I didn't expect that things would be so easily resolved, but I also don't know if I fully believe Quinn when she approaches Charlie. She doesn't seem unsure of herself or indecisive, but I keep returning to her initial reluctance to accept Charlie's proposal, and also her lack of excitement and excuse-making when Charlie brings up wedding plans. Maybe that's me remembering when I was unenthusiastic about planning a wedding with my ex-fiancé, even though I had had a season and color scheme picked out since I was a teenager. Late September and burnt oranges and marigold. He even bought me books to motivate me, but a deep down reluctance remained. After some therapy over a year later, it came to me like an epiphany during a session. I felt so much lighter afterward. I ended it 2 weeks later. But back to Quinn. I'm not sure it's the same thing, or that she wants to marry Huck, or marry anyone. Maybe she likes the companionship. I just wonder if the, quote, Charlie and Quinn love, end quote, she speaks of, that she speaks of not being able to live without. Y'all know I find statements like that codependent and not romantic, even when Fitz says it. It's just a certainty that she has in Charlie. I don't know, but I'm watching this. #unfolding. Everyone shut the fuck up, especially Rowan. I have a number of things to say about this group scene, so it will be long. It was extremely well done in that it made me want to murder almost everyone at some point. They are all in a very stressful situation, so it's mostly understandable, except for Rowan. Fuck him forever. Amen. Mellie brings up defiance in front of everyone, and I'm just like, oh, facepalm Mellie. Bitch, this is why you can't be president. Marcus asks what that is because he's new here, so there's so much he doesn't know about these people, including about Mellie. Keep that in mind when I criticize the pep talk he delivers to Mellie later on. Back to Mellie. Yes, girl, it is something you guys never should have done. Defiance, that is. So you had zero qualms about it until shit started affecting your situation. How very Mellie of you. Anyway, that comment she made is another nod to a scene from the 610 AU, when Mellie comes to apologize to Liv in her office. She tells Olivia that she was right to say no to defiance. That Mellie, like the AU Mellie, got herself into trouble after initially resenting Olivia for denying her quest for the White House by saying no to defiance. She went after it anyway, and got herself all mixed up with Cyrus's monstrous ambition and Rowan's need to be puppet master, or should I say Damascus Bainbridge. Mellie in real life got herself into trouble by rejecting the right thing Olivia urged her to do, concede, just last episode. Power-hungry and entitled, she rushed into the arms of Liz, who threw some flattery her way, and ended up directly trapped by the Illuminati. Olivia did not look excited by Cyrus's proposition that he be Mellie's pick for vice president. If Olivia wanted to be chief of staff, which I long suspected, She would have had to fight Cyrus for power over Mellie. We've seen Olivia and Cyrus fight over who gets to control Fitz in 5A. He's not the president anymore, Liv. You are, said Cyrus to Liv in 507. Liv doesn't have the same influence on Mellie that she does on Fitz. There's no love there. Olivia's relationship is transactional. So Liv has to be more strategic with her. Mellie will do whatever she wants anyway without thinking it through because Liv is there to clean it up. And what have we seen of the chief of staffs on this show? They turn into monstrous babysitters that go behind the backs of people they love, deny their president the right to bodily autonomy and human feelings, make decisions for them in their name and without them, become people who can't sleep at night because of the things they have done. Spare me if I do not want to see Olivia in this role. It's not because I want to deny her success. I want her to redefine success in her image. Besides, you're going into a Republican administration. I don't care if it's a woman. I don't know because there are plenty in real life. There are plenty of fuckboy Republican women, who uphold patriarchy and don't fight for, the needs of the needy. So I have literally seen nothing about Mellie except for her Planned Parenthood stunt to suggest that she actually cares about the people. So what is it exactly that Olivia thinks she's going to accomplish through Mellie by being at the White House? Or does she just want to secure Mellie in the White House? Well, clearly not. She says she's chief of staff. I don't know. But it's not a good idea for her to be back there. It's just really not. Not with the way this election has happened. Nothing will change for her. On to the fictional bane of my existence and that of everyone in this room, Rowan. Boy, does this man love to fancy himself a king or a god. He is Zeus, after all. He extracts favors, loves when others make supplications. He feeds off of it, needs it, like the power addict he is. Having felt marginalized and small by gaining the help of a man he will never have the pleasure of controlling, Fitz, Rowan takes the opportunity to publicly humiliate Fitz, the goddamn president, in whose fucking bedroom he is standing. He publicly shames/humiliates Olivia, the daughter who begged her beau to save Rowan's life. Ungrateful bastard parading in the garb of black power. One of my main bugbears with Rowan is how he exploits racial loyalty and pride to cover his abusive ways. He has no power unless he can subjugate others. That is essentially how whiteness as an identity is born from white European patriarchy. White patriarchal, feminine too, does not exist as we know it without the subjugation of black people in order that white people place themselves at the top of a racial hierarchy that they invented for their benefit. Black patriarchy simply attempts to sell back to black people this same idea, but with black men at the top of the hierarchy. Their power then is derived from subjugating black women and gays and all queer people, and using race/family loyalty to do so. Rowan, Zeus, blames Olivia, Helen, for putting him in a position where he would have to express any gratitude to Fitz, Menelaus, or even to her. He wants to let it be known that he is Zeus and in charge of Helen, even when he's absent. He's omnipresent. Kind of like Liv was saying to Jake in her apartment as she drank her father's wine. Rowan is at odds with everyone in the room who is trying to put their heads together to come up with a solution to bring down Payas. Rowan denies his assistance, shaming Liv and leaving her to do the laborious saving, the way he set her up to do on his and Payas's behalf since 601. She stood there and nodded her head for Fitz to bow down to Daddy, if that would convince him to help. Liv basically encouraged Fitz to allow himself to be humiliated by her father because she has been allowing him to do the same thing to her for so long. She's truly forgotten how horrible it feels. She's petrified wood in his presence and has come to expect no better from him. Fitz, however, must be sterling. Liv is just in an impossible position. And I felt so angry that the person in that room who stood up for her was held back and chided by both Liv and Jake, ever Daddy's loyal soldiers / children. Yeah, I know there was a mission at hand, but we're talking about the man who went to war to save Helen, or Olivia, in 411. So what did you expect Fitz to do? Old loyalties die hard, especially when they are family. Oh, sorry. Old loyalties die hard, especially when they are family or quote unquote family, in Jake's case. We're constantly told that blood is thicker than water and that you don't abandon your family no matter what. But what about when they abandon you at your most vulnerable? Like Rowan did with Olivia when she was 12 years old and he told her that her mother had died. Or, they've been abusing you for years. What do you do then? Is it still worth sticking with them just because they're your family? I reprimanded myself this morning for my initial annoyance with Olivia in this scene. But it is true that she must have been smarting from what happened and did not want to let those feelings get in the way of her goal, the Illuminati takedown. That would have only served Rowan. But I was just seething about the shaming and humiliation of Liv, and sad that she has grown used to her father berating her this way, his insistence that she cannot succeed without him. If Olivia is an addict to chaos, drama, power, Rowan is her drug dealer. He needs her as his client, or he'll be out of business, extinct. Let's get this out of the way. Rowan was never going to help them, and he knew that. He wanted to humiliate Fitz and Olivia as payback. The bonus was that he got to hold court with all his monologuing. I'm just cash to you, a wrinkled dollar bill thrown at the foot of a stripper. First of all, girl, I came prepared to fight, and unlike Fitz, I will not be held back swinging on motherfucker. Rowan, in this analogy, likened his own daughter to a stripper. And I'm not sex shaming here because real talented strippers are lit. I love it. But he is definitely shaming, which he's used to doing. The aim here in this analogy is not to make Fitz feel bad, but to shame and humiliate Liv as the object that butters his randy baguette. Some patriarchal man shit. I don't care how anti-Fitz you are and want to pretend that this analogy was really directed at Fitz's supposed ill treatment of his daughter. Where are your receipts, by the way? You're lying to yourself and dismissing a plethora of context that indicates Rowan's words are part of a long history of sexually shaming his own daughter. And I have written extensively on this, and in specific regard to Fitz, and humiliating Fitz using a similar patriarchal logic. This form of shaming essentially began with the insinuation of Jake into Olivia's life in season 2. Read a very short piece from back then that I wrote called On Fitz's Balls and Olivia's Sexual Autonomy. The dollar bill comment Rowan makes is akin to the dressing down that he gave Olivia in 3-1. He told her then, you're not special, you're not rare. If you were going to lift your skirt to a powerful man, you should have gotten something out of it. Right? You should have at least been chief of staff or secretary of state. In other words, a transactional quid pro relationships, because that's what he thinks of sex, especially women in sex. Therefore, the dollar bill / stripper comment is an analogy, re-emphasizes this transactional theme he tries to push onto the Olitz relationship. Why? Because he cannot stand that his daughter actually loves a man he can't control, and that man isn't him. Rowan had no problems with her fucking the 2 men he knew he had programmed to quote-unquote love her, Jake and Russell. Rowan is jealous of Liv's love for Fitz, sure, because it breaks protocol. It breaks the training that he's given her. It breaks his hold over Olivia. But more than that, Rowan is jealous that Fitz truly loves Olivia and tries to demean it in any way he can. He, Rowan, is not capable of loving Olivia as Liv reminded him in 409, because he doesn't respect her. He only wants her compliance in exchange for giving her affirmation that only reinforces his importance in her life. "You are my greatest achievement," he says to her in 508 after he manipulated her into freeing him from prison. "Show your daughter some damn respect." "Yes, Fitz, my baby, come through." Thank you, Fitz. Someone who claims to love Olivia actually needed to stand up for her. We're used to Fitz showing up for Olivia, even when they aren't a couple, and we've seen him do that since they've broken up this last time. I don't care that Liv essentially chided him with that stern "Fitz" of hers. She knew her father would just come back at him even stronger and pettier. I hope Fitz punches the shit out of him next week. Side note, I'm beginning to wonder if Liv did to Andrew in 517 with that chair what she cannot do to her own father. Think about it. Andrew was essentially sexually shaming her, analogizing her as a washed-up prostitute who was no longer pulling in top dollar and was worthless. "Underneath those expensive clothes, you're just another cheap slut who thinks she's something better than that. You're done. You've got nothing to offer me," said Andrew. Liv later said killing him felt good, satisfying, 520. She slept like a baby afterwards, even though it did haunt her after that. It stings that Rowan used worthless in this episode to describe everyone in that room, and that Liv, after slapping Abby thrice, called her worthless as well. And that's from 609, and I wrote about that scene as disturbing to me. Mercy, mercy me. Rowan's speech about mercy is his way of saying, King Kong ain't got nothing on me. Everyone looked at him like, the fuck, bro? What are you talking about, old man? The analogy is this. Unfortunate men whisper mercy to relieve their anguish, though they know they are doomed, death or loss. He's saying everyone in that room is begging him to have mercy on them because they have essentially lost and are doomed. Begging him to be their savior is the group's admission of that. He won't join in because he's not a loser. Boy, no one cages me. I am always free. I hate that he tries to make Fitz's mercy seem like a weakness instead of a strength. Compassion is weak to Rowan because he doesn't have it. His refusal to grant mercy is his way of taking power back for himself after feeling marginalized by Senator Grant's disappointing son, Fitz. When, in actuality, Fitz tried to bring him under his protection. The way Rowan is acting makes me think of a similar predicament in season 5 when Rowan's life was in danger, according to him. Liv tried to pull off the weak old man gonna die shtick back then too, which was part of Rowan's manipulation, and went behind Fitz's back to bring about her father's release. When Fitz overreacted and brought Olivia under his protection for her own safety, Olivia took that as punishment and ended up acting out and busting out of the White House like it was the joint. Rowan is here now acting like folks aren't trying to help him. Spare me the talk of Rowan being an innocent victim in all this, that he was made to shoot Vargas. He had a choice. Just as Joke had a choice about his mission to sleep with Olivia via coercion back in season 2. James had a choice on whether or not to lie on that stand about Cyrus, his husband, back in season 2 as well. People usually end up choosing themselves. This is a quote from 218 by Cyrus to James. You made a choice, and it's not so much the choice, it's the fact that you know that you're capable of making that choice. That's what's keeping you awake at night. And you can pretend it's me, that I've infected you with all my bad ways, but it wasn't. You made a choice. You did this. This is the man that you are. Olivia, too, had a choice about this defiance, which is what I wrote about back in season 2. And the AU of 610 basically confirms she considers that choice a significant fork in her life's journey. Rowan chose himself instead of choosing his daughter when he killed Vargas and when he set her up to do the dirty work of Payas and Ponytail. The whole thing just reminds me of how black patriarchal men like your Tariq Nasheeds, who incidentally labels Olivia Pope and real-life independent black women who have an opinion as Negro bedwenches. How then is Rowan any different from men like him? Men like this think black women need to keep doing the labor of rescuing them, standing up for them, fighting for them, choosing them, even though they don't love us back, not in a way that is healthy and helps us prosper. They choose loyalty to themselves and their ego and tell us to have thicker skins. This is what Rowan embodies, especially in this episode. And please note that I am saying certain black men like this, like the Tariq Nasheeds, who are all about the black nationalism and black patriarchy where they're in control. I'm not talking about black men in general, lest you think I'm like anti-black men or something. But back to this. It's not lost on me that just 2 nights ago in the Scandalverse, in episode 611, Olivia told Fitz that she will always choose her father over him, after having just declared that she would go to jail in order to spare Rowan's life and bring down the bad guys. How interesting. Jake gets told he's a poor substitute for Fitz in 518, but Liv threatens Fitz with Rowan. So we're not going to pretend that Olivia has had the chance to work through all that mess, okay? She's still got shit to work out. Olivia has always chosen Rowan in the end, so far. Her repeated decisions to run, especially from her own feelings, are a reflection of that. It's not so much the Fitz of it all that Olivia needs to work through. It's the Rowan of it all. The original man in her life. The one who installed her buttons. The one who has made her believe she's nothing without him and that the world is unsafe without him in her shadow. The one that justifies all manner of abuse as being for her protection. Ugh, let me stop. I could write an entire dissertation on how Rowan ain't shit. And you know what the title would be? The Unfortunate Tale of a Trash-Ass Negro Chasing White Patriarchal Power. Eli, Rowan Pope, and the Dangers of Performative Black American Masculinity. Supporting powerful women. Hey, David and Fitz, I like to throw dinner parties and wear a headband sometimes. What's wrong with that? They look super cute on me. But I am in nobody's shadow. We hear Fitz acknowledge he nor David would be where they are were it not for strong women. He's right. LOL, 3 out of the Defiance 5 who made him president are women. Rip Verna. But really, Fitz actually has a lot of women in his cabinet. He's had 2 female vice presidents, and obviously there's Mellie and Olivia as influences in his life. We've seen Fitz share the Oval and his power with Olivia. He's taking notes from Liv and babysitting her purse at the same time. That's from 507. There's nothing wrong with you, David. You're just attracted to powerful women. Ones who raise the bar and make you jump to get there. I agree with that, Fitz. I am reminded of Liv always telling Fitz that he needs to do better and be better. Go be the man I voted for. Because she saw that in him from very early on. 106. Also, you like who you like. So long as they like you back, I don't see the problem. But both David and Fitz have allowed themselves sometimes to suffer all manner of things by the women they like. The love part is important because Liv shoved David around. And there's always, but theirs was always a transactional relationship. There was no love there. Susan was good for David, but he couldn't love her back. He was too busy not resisting trash-ass Liv, the Jake of that triangle. Monster smash. Rowan was so fake as shit in that scene with Cyrus. But he's a shapeshifter who performs for the occasion. Funnily enough, he reminded me of the way some black people force ourselves to act around white people, the way we contain our true selves, the bon ami we perform to keep ourselves safe and on guard. I get that. It's real. This line from Rowan is interesting. You actually thought you could kill me? Or is this a complicated way of killing yourself? For some reason, Liv flashed through my mind when he said that. Maybe it's wishful thinking, metaphorically or literally. Can he die? But as of right now, the act that Rowan did took something away from Cyrus. In exchange, it gave something to Liv that she was so desperate for, the kind of Pennsylvania Avenue power her father urged her to go after in order to quash that unrelenting sense of impotence she felt since perhaps 508 and intensified after 509. Similarly, Rowan took something away from Fitz to give Liv the White House in 318. I guess, too, Liv flashed through my mind because of 409 when she held that empty gun up to her father. Rowan told her that the hatred she feels for him was simply a reflection staring back at her in the mirror. Damn. Was that Cyrus in this moment? He later found the courage to question what it was he actually wanted. But Liv hasn't been so fortunate. She's not been able to look in the mirror yet, not in real life. We saw her do it in her AU imagination. But what is that saying? What is that saying? Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed if it is not faced. Liv's been dodging the desire to look at herself in the mirror since 312 and still can't do it. It's gotten harder. I pray she has a moment like A.U. Fitz did in 610. After all, that was her imagination conjuring the whole scenario. And truth be told, she was Fitz in many ways in her imagination, especially that end speech that he gives her. I hope she's like that Fitz who sat on that bench at Lafayette Square and stared at the White House like it was the sun, and then realizing, actually, it isn't. I'm the sun. I hope Liv has a mirror moment before the season's end. Go home, Peter. Why the fuck does married joke Ballard think he has any right to question Liv on who's making it rain inside her vagina? Like, the actual fuck. As I have written before, Jake is a psychosexual extension of Rowan, used to reinforce his control of Liv. Rowan lets it out of the bag that Fitz and Liv are boning, and it becomes the one thing barnacle balls get stuck on, instead of the task at hand. LOL. Y'all thought he was gonna be VP? Cute. Anyway, Jake, fuck you, dude. You were not Olivia's guardian, but then again, Rowan still has someone sweep Liv's apartment for bugs, which he mentions in 606. So it wouldn't surprise me that Jake is still programmed as her guardian. Jake, what Olivia is fighting for and with whom she is sleeping with is none of your fucking business. This douchiness, again, reminds me of how Liv casts Jake in her AU. His very first comment to AU Fitz was sexual. Is she a dud in bed? Doughboy, don't you have a wife you are failing at home? Didn't Liv make it clear to you that you are a lesser man that she will never choose in 518? You must be a glutton for punishment. Well, you know what you are, because you keep going back to that psycho Rowan. The messenger is a problem, no doubt, but I did actually listen to what Jake was saying. Asking Liv what she's fighting for is a valid question. It's just that Jake does not deserve that answer. What Liv is fighting for and what she wants are similar questions, ones she has a hard time answering. This all reminds me of when she didn't give Fitz an answer when he asked her what she wanted, after saying no to his proposal in 506. Liv told us in 312 that she had goals and dreams. But what are they? Where are they, Liv? Is the Oval your dream? I find that hard to believe since you weren't going after it until Daddy monologued it into your head in 510. But again, I'm being patient with Liv because I feel like she's looking for certainty or confirmation and is working to figure things out for herself. And only then is she really going to come out and say it. She's just that type of person. You're being weak and pathetic and jealous, says Liv to joke. And besides being true, I'm mad that she apologized. This also comes from her AU. She said those same words to a half-drunk Fitz who made a dig at Mellie after discovering she was going to run for president. A.U. Fitz was making the situation about his ego, redirecting his own shortcomings. Here, in this episode, Lil Petey Hell No is doing the same. Suddenly, Liv's actions are about him and their former no-lationship. I'm pretty twisted, but I do know that doing the same thing over and over again is the definition of insanity. You know he's not the answer. You know this place is a prison. It's not your place. First of all, bitch, don't tell this black woman what is and is not her place. What a fucking contrast between Fitz's words and his. Fitz loves a tornado that takes a place by storm. Jake is here acting like her father, telling Liv about her limitations. I'm assuming the he in Jake's words refer to Fitz, but in some way they can actually apply to Rowan. Fitz isn't going to be in quote-unquote this place in Mellie's administration, so why would Liv be doing quote it for Fitz? If the it is taking back the White House, is that for Rowan? I mean, Olivia showed no interest in being back to that place until her father urged her in that direction. If that is the case that it is Rowan, then most definitely it will be a prison. Because as long as Rowan is alive and free and Olivia's in that White House, especially with Mellie as president, a woman he has easily manipulated before, remember the 12 jurors and that bus, and also he did it in 606, 506. Olivia Pope is a prisoner in that White House, so long as Rowan is free. And Rowan will be the warden. I think when Olivia ran to Fitz on that balcony in 422, I did think she believed Fitz was the answer, that he was going to make her happy, finally. But no one possesses that power but her. And now a quote from Beyonce. People feel like they lose something when they get married, but it doesn't have to be that way. There's nothing more exciting than having a witness to your life. Everybody's not good at everything. It's okay to depend on someone. It's actually what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to depend on each other. And when you find the person that you trust and you love and you feel is going to respect you and take all of the shit that you have and turn it around and bring out the best in you, it feeds you. It is the most powerful thing you can ever feel in your life. Happiness comes from you. No one else can make you happy. You make you happy. Fitz is someone who brings happiness to Olivia? Hell yes. He's a part of the answer. Come on. This is undeniable. And by this, I mean the way Liv held on to Fitz's hand on her face as she kissed him, breathed him in just an episode ago. So thankful was she to have an excuse to get close to him. So thankful was she to be reunited in his presence. So thankful was she to have another chance. She grabbed and held on tight this time. I'm not looking for anyone to save me. I saved him. I saved you. Girl, I'm glad you're not looking for anyone to save you, but literally Fitz just saved you from your dumbass idea of going to prison. And I'm pretty sure he saved your trash-ass father, too. The him that Olivia is referencing here must be her father. She hasn't saved Fitz for a minute, nor has he asked her for any favors since she left him in 509. I mean, she just saved Jake by making him resign as VP to save him from the Illuminati. She just saved him from her father back in 521 by putting him on her ticket. She just saved Rowan by pleading with Fitz to have mercy. But Jake, are you seriously thinking you were going to play hero to her? Bruh, sit down. Matter of fact, lay down on your back and do some crunches. That gray t-shirt you had on earlier was kind of shiny and highlighted that gut. You've been drinking too much beer, and it's got you looking belly-rific. I take that as an indication that we will not have to suffer through seeing your nakedness anytime soon. Praise Jehovah. Another nugget from the 610 AU. Cyrus teams up with Mellie and has Rowan, Damascus, on his team. Mellie was going to be the power and he the one running things behind her. In real life, Cyrus rejects teaming up with Mellie. I hope his history with her was a part of that rejection. They are a fucking disaster together. Does Cyrus actually want to be better after having been in prison and realizing that compared to some other people out there, he's not a monster after all? Is he done at playing monster? I don't know. I'm very interested in where he goes. Motivating Mellie. This should be a cute and empowering scene of a man giving a pep talk to a woman, to step into her power and own it. I get it. But admittedly, my bias against Mellie is standing in my way of seeing it as such. I'm just not feeling this whole black people in the role of Oprah pushing white folks to live to be their best selves. Mellie shows little reciprocity for Marcus or Olivia. Literally, their whole scene, all of the scenes with Marcus and Mellie have been about Marcus encouraging Mellie. And I don't give a good goddamn that Mellie feels like, her confidence is, taking a ding or whatever because of Fitz, because I just don't see it. And there's just no accounting for the number of times that she has unnecessarily berated that man in order to make herself feel better. When you're married, you married or in a committed relationship, you level stones at each other. I would not call the Mellett's relationship an abusive one, just a tragic marriage that needed to end a long time ago. So this relationship that Mellie and Marcus have, #Marley, it's all about Mellie. I don't know. We'll see where this goes. Because, like I said, Mellie shows little reciprocity for Marcus or Olivia. Her relationship with them is really all about her. I'm just tired of it. Everyone could plot and scheme all they want, but the gun is to my head. Really, bitch? You sure enough didn't care about Fitz's head and the consequences he would have to take when you plotted and schemed behind his back those many, many times. Like the time you and Cyrus, flouted the Constitution by signing Fitz's name when he was still in a coma. Like when you fucked up with Daniel, Douglas, and James. I can name so many other times. You sure as hell didn't give a shit about Defiance. And, if Fitz would find out, Olivia was the one that suffered mostly through all of that. Y'all didn't give a good goddamn. You just wanted what you wanted. Somebody else always took care of the mess that Mellie created because she's not a strategic person. If she actually gets sworn in, it'll be real interesting if she tries to be the leader she claimed Fitz wasn't capable of being. Or will she be like Trump and avoid taking accountability for what her staff does? Marcus describes Cyrus as too selfish and egotistical and not thinking clearly. Okay, dude. You sure you're not talking about your girl? You're new here. Anyway, Marcus's words are in stark contrast with Cyrus's next scene, in which we see him reach clarity. He looks at Teddy Roosevelt, whose image looks back at him, kind of like a mirror. Cyrus then decides he does not want to be Mellie's VP. Mellie, you are strong and clear-headed, patient, exacting. Marcus, darling, where are your receipts? Where are they? Yeah, Mellie was so patient and exacting that she ran right into Liz's trap after Liz threw some crumpled dollar bills at her ego. Miss Cyrus rejects. I'm very curious about where Cyrus will end up and what's changed about him since prison. He yelled to Rowan that he needed Frankie Vargas, that the country needed him. Later, he rejects Mellie's offer of VP after staring at a portrait of Teddy Roosevelt. Is Teddy real-life Cyrus's version of the JFK painting for Live in 610? He seemed to gather some mirror-like inspiration from that Roosevelt painting. Maybe it's because Teddy Roosevelt, after losing his bid to get back into the White House, went on to have political impact from outside that house. Perhaps Cyrus is thinking that this isn't the end for him. No, I don't want it, says Cyrus. It makes me think of Mellie telling Fitz in 601, Fitz, I want it. The look on Liv's face when Cyrus spoke made me wonder if she was relieved because she wouldn't have to fight him for power. Or did she wish she was brave enough to reject this the way he has? She told Jake in 605 that she didn't want to win, but that she had to win. There's no desire here, no real feeling, which means installing herself in that oval will not bring about satisfaction. That's something I think is a major part of her quest. So what's going to happen in the end with this whole White House business is very curious to me. I just don't think it's going to be as straightforward as we think. Hopefully it won't be as straightforward as the ending of 521, which was so predictable to me. Who run the world, girls? We end the episode essentially with women taking back power others ostensibly took from them. Abby, Mellie, Liv, and even Luna Vargas were all reclaiming something lost because of actions taken by the Illuminati. Olivia goes deeper because her father served as an intermediary, so he has to be dealt with. An all-female ticket? Interesting. And a Latina at that. By the way, the lowest paid people in America. Can we kill Mellie and make Luna president? Literally, can any other woman on this show be president instead of undeserving Mellie? Ugh. Rowanka out! I took Mellie back, says Liv. That is a key phrase for me. Mellie is Olivia's horse that she got achingly close to the finish line of the presidency. Mellie had been a means to a goal for Olivia since 510, a means to power. Liv also tells Ponytail that her mistake was thinking she could take what's hers. Mellie, the Oval Chief of Staff. Mellie belongs to Liv. If anyone is going to control her in that Oval, it's going to be her. She labored for nearly 2 years to make it happen. Liv wasn't about to just let these people control her too. They aren't even related to her after all. So Liv wanted to rescue Mellie from these guys because she would have no influence in that White House if she didn't, which is what she worked so hard for. Saving Mellie was saving what she labored for, her place, the one that Jake told her she shouldn't have. There is something to be said for re-inhabitation, which is the idea of reclaiming a space that was never meant for you. But I don't believe that this applies in this instance to Olivia. Both these women have commented on the East Wing being their prison, 503 and 509, while also striving to run the West Wing because they think that's where the real power is, right? Which is a very masculinist way of understanding power. But they are being installed in that wing due to murder and corruption. How is that a good thing? Shonda is slick by having this all-woman-led White House, a stark contrast to the white sausage fest happening in the real White House. I would feel better if neither Liv nor Mellie get to be there. The place needs an entirely new culture, and maybe Luna is it. I don't know what kind of experience she had. People may be assuming that she was a stay-at-home mom or that she didn't do anything related. Isn't she an attorney? I feel like. I don't know. Olivia uses her father's language twice in this last scene. She speaks of taking Mellie / the Oval back exactly as her father spoke about her to our dearly departed Harrison. He took my child, so I took his. Meaning Fitz. That worries me, that Olivia uses this language. Only in a certain way, though. So Olivia then says to Ponytail, you don't take Olivia Pope takes you. That sounds like a real boss-ass bitch on the surface. And sure, women did all the real work in this episode. Even Mellie, after she stopped throwing a long victim temper tantrum. And by all means, Olivia, let that ponytail bitch know you only take shit from daddy. Anyway, Olivia's words recall her father's from 422 when she sought to beat him. You can't take command. Command takes you. However, using her name reminds me, invoking her name, to Ponytail, reminds me of what Shonda said in her TED Talk. Basically, you can be a Titan, but once you start having to rely on reminding people of who you are by telling them what you do, you've kind of lost the plot in what matters in life. Olivia certainly has. I pray life catches her. Nay, I pray she catches it. All right, thank you guys. I'm out.